Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're doing a mini review of the Death Note Netflix original film. No fluff, let's get to it. Just a warning, spoilers ahead, and if you're looking for a summary and want to know if it's worth a watch, the answer is yes if you're not familiar with Death Note, and well, dealer's choice if you are a fan. It's not great, it's not horrible, let's begin. Death Note is best known as an animated series that follows a child prodigy Light Yagami, reimagined as White Boy Light Turner in the film, and his battle of wits with the genius detective L, reimagined as Black Boy? No, that doesn't sound good. Let's go with this dude and this dude. The series itself follows Light as he acquires a magic notebook that allows him to kill by simply writing a name on a page and imagining a person's face. After this, he claims the mantle of God under the persona Kira, using the Death Note to kill criminals around the world. This prompts an international manhunt to find him by law enforcement, and ultimately brings brilliant Detective L to the case. The entire show revolves around these two playing a game of cat and mouse, continuously setting traps, creating diversions, and trying to stay 3 steps ahead of one another in their life or death game of chess. With L trying to identify Kira and bring him to justice, and Light trying to identify L and add another name to the Death Note. This was ultimately the most important aspect of Death Note. It's what drew the viewership it got. It's not the supernatural or moral questions and dilemmas, it was these two geniuses plausibly outplaying one another in a game of 4-dimensional chess. Which brings us to the Netflix film. It was meh. A resounding meh. I mean, Ryuk was portrayed really well, so was L in the beginning, but there are two glaring and unfortunately unforgivable issues. The writing and the portrayal of Light. Now let's do this quick since I'm not a snobby critic yet, and we all have things to do today. Like all adaptations, trying to condense an entire series into one film is never a great idea. The Last Airbender wasn't already the poster child for this, and this film would be. There's no effective way to effectively pace or set up the world you intend to immerse the viewers in with a tenth of the screen time of the series. It just doesn't fit. First issue is they don't really give us proper context around what Ryuk in the Death Note is. They jerry-rig an exposition combined with plot development situation, which almost never works. Exposition is contextual, it's static, and plot progression is progressive. Exposition works significantly better merged with character development, like you see in this scene from Doctor Strange.
This is a relic. Some magic is too powerful to sustain, so we imbue objects with it.
When do I get my relic?
When you're ready.
Well, I think I'm ready.
You're ready when the relic decides you're ready. For now, conjure a weapon. Fight! Fight like your life depended on it! Because one day, it may.
And this scene from How to Train Your Dragon.
This is Burke. You see, most places have mice or mosquitoes. We have dragons. Oh, and that's Fish Legs, Snotlout, the twins, Rough Nut and Tough Nut, and Astrid. Oh, their job is so much cooler.
The film feels awkwardly slow, but still rushed. They never establish what the characters are, why they do what they do, how competent they are in what they do. The entire film revolves around this vaguely defined love story, this vaguely defined book, and vaguely defined rules given by this vaguely defined death god. And they clearly know how to weave exposition in with character development, since they did it with telling us who L is, showing what he's about while explaining where the police are in their investigation. The early scenes with L are really good. They captured him really well, and actor Lakeith Stanfield did a fantastic job until the end when the writing kind of ruined it, but that's not on the actor. If there are sequels or anything to do with this series in live action in the future, I really hope they bring him back. He captures crazy genius really well. Which brings me to the biggest issue writing-wise, the forced love story. Now I understand why they did it. They show how power corrupts, the visual representation on how absolute power corrupts absolutely. But the ending kind of derails the entire thing. You see, in the anime, Light's fascination was with the notebook, while Misa, represented by Mia in the film, was enamored with Kira and later by Light. However, Light only saw her as a tool, as another method of staying one step ahead of L and ultimately unmasking and winning the game. That's ultimately where the two disconnect. They could have dropped the entire love story and had this be a straight focus on L versus Kira, the idea of the cat and mouse game. Now let's talk about the second biggest issue of the film, which is Light Turner. The way they wrote this character is just abysmal. You see, Light Yagami was a perfect recipient for the Death Note because of his arrogance, his narcissism that drove him. He was a top of his class, grade A athlete, confident speaker, popular guy, overall perfect student. After obtaining the Death Note, all these qualities made him truly believe he was destined to become a god of the world, to rule over the inferior populace, and the Death Note was just an act of divine providence. Light Turner, on the other hand, is just a bullied kid who's kind of brave. Sure, they show 1 or 2 acts of quick thinking, but most of his drive is emotional. We don't know anything about him other than Ryuk thinks he's worthy of the notebook, but why? It makes no sense. In the film, he's just an emo kid who gets a hot girlfriend because of his superpowers. It's just a lot of wasted potential. In the show, it was this clash of wits, this ideas of philosophies, what's good and evil, what's just and right, all wrapped in this 4-dimensional chess that nobody else could possibly understand other than our main antagonist and protagonist. In the film, it's just 2 children getting into some shenanigans with superpowers. The last thing I'll touch on is the ending. It was meant to be clever. Light writes multiple steps in the Death Note to kill off his traitor girlfriend, have a rapist save him from the incident that killed his girlfriend before getting himself killed, have a pedophile ensure that the Death Note is returned to Light in the hospital room before committing suicide himself, and it's all one big genius scheme. Except it wasn't. It was a deus ex machina that utilized the fact that the film established a billion rules but left it all so vague that Light could use the notebook however he needed to. Particularly the if-then statements, as well as the ability to control inanimate objects and have their fate decided by the Death Note. Did anybody else wonder how the hell he could make it so that the Death Note ensures that the page that his name is written on ends up burning? Because that just makes no sense. You see, what the show did so well with Light's character was established exactly what the rules of the Death Note were. There were like 11 or 12 of them, and Light used the exact wording of the rules to exploit loopholes and essentially cheat, in so much that he did things with the book that Ryuk didn't even know he could do. Here, they just don't tell us what the hell the thing does, what the rules are. They just pretend Light's a genius for using a notebook in a way we never knew he could use it in. Even the plan to use 2 low-level criminals to retrieve himself and the notebook wasn't particularly smart, but then again, that may just be because I'm a fan of the anime, where Light's deceptions and plans are exponentially more risky, deceptive, and intelligent. They also unfortunately ruin L at the end as well, making him really emotional, just like Light and Mia were. FYI, Mia is Light's cheerleader girlfriend who inexplicably falls in love with him after observing the phenomenal powers of the Death Note. Who could have seen that betrayal twist at the end coming? I mean, she's pretty much a gold digger for superpowers. Anyway, after Mia kills L's surrogate father Ratari, L goes on a parkour gun chase around Seattle with Light, and after one final dramatic scene, the ending turns out L finding a torn page of the Death Note in Mia's room with the names of the FBI agents she's killed on it. Oh yeah, she killed some FBI agents earlier on. And the film suggests he magically deduced exactly how Kira has been killing people despite 10 minutes earlier thinking he had psychic powers and was omniscient. Instead of coming to the rational conclusion that she and Light were just writing down the names of the FBI agents following them that they intended to kill, he deduced the entirety of how the notebook worked. And the whole thing ends with L laughing like a comic relief villain. getting ready to write Light's name on that torn piece of paper, knowing exactly how the notebook works. Absolutely absurd. Positively the dumbest leap of logic I've seen out of a movie in a while. Painful. Just painful. Especially when you consider he figured out who Kita is by telling a random Seattle detective to show his face and tell his name on a press conference, then watch as he didn't die. Boom! Got it. It's his son. Good thing you chose the right guy on the first try, El. Wouldn't want to make your brute force hack actually realistic. And stacking dead detectives down until you caught the right guy's son. In the end, Death Note was wasted potential. They had the ability to create a really fun, really smart battle of wits, but after all it's said and done, the poor writing squandered it. It insults the fans of the anime and comes off as an incoherent mess for casual viewers. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.